right, welcome to my talk, everybody. Thank you very much for coming to my talk, even though it was pretty much everybody else is going to the unconference. I'm more than willing also, if we get through my slides, to turn this into an unconference style presentation if people are interested in discussing or going over things in more detail. How many people here are JavaScript developers? Okay, cool. How many people here are already familiar with the History API and have worked with it in the past? Okay, cool, good. So this probably won't be too boring for most of you then. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through a story of when I realized I needed to learn more about the History API. Then I'm going to show just a really stupid, fun, simple, hello world style code example. Then I'm going to walk through where I really needed to use it in our real world when we redesigned our product tours. And then I'm going to show you how we really put it all together into Magnolia. So a little bit about me. My name is William Paoli. I am a front-end developer at Atlassian. I've been there for about 3 years. I'm from San Francisco, California. And I'm really happy to be here in Basel. This has been a really fun experience. A little bit about our team. So we work on what is known as the interactive marketing team, which is a team of designers and web developers. And we've got 2 great designers, three or four web developers, and we work together with our content providers and other people in the company, kind of as an internal design agency. So we work with our product marketing managers. They're the ones that are really responsible for marketing their own products. So we have one person responsible for marketing Jira. We have a person responsible for marketing Confluence, and they use Magnolia to update their content. We also have a demand generation team. And they are really responsible for generating new business and buzz about Atlassian and products. And they're the ones that are really concerned about our SEO and our search engine optimization, making sure that all of our content is findable on the web and that everything is going to work. They're very concerned about making sure everything's going to work in that way. So Atlassian's famous for its no salesperson approach to business, and the website really is our salesperson, so it's a really critical part of our business. Just want to run through some stats on our website really quickly. In August 2012, we had about 1,800,000 visits, approximately 4 million page views. And the reason I bring that up is just to sort of show you the breakdown of our browser usage. Since when you start talking about HTML5, one of the first reactions is, well, does this work in all browsers? And it's definitely a valid concern. And as you can see, we have about 40% Chrome, 40% Firefox, and then the Internet Explorer around 12%. So the reason I showed the numbers was just 12% seems very small, but when you have a lot of visits, that's still 200,000 visits using IE. So we do care about IE. Curious, does this breakdown look familiar to you guys? Is this similar to what you experience in your statistics? Can I get a show of hands? How many people does this seem about right? Is it different here? Yeah? You? Exactly the same as Mark's. That's amazing. Cool. So the big redesign, and Mark illustrated this really well in his talk, if you guys were there, where in October last year, we launched a brand new website where we took our old design, which was very old. Come on in if you want. No worries. You haven't missed anything yet. So this was our old design, which was had a horizontal navigation. It was not very clear. The user experience was awkward and slow. There was a ton of text. These are big, long pages. So our brilliant designer, Jeff Kriege, came up with the following design to streamline this. And it's just much more streamlined, less text. And so I was handed this as a Photoshop file with no other requirements or documentation. Just, this looks nice, this is our idea, this is what we want to do. So that's when the conversation started. So pretty immediately after I was sent this Photoshop file, Jeff IM'd me. Said, it'd be cool if there didn't have to be a page reload when you switch tabs. And I said, yeah, easy. I'll just do some Ajax, pull the content in, use Jquery tabs, switch between them, no problem. Said, I don't know what that all means, but it sounds good, thanks. Go ahead. So then, Joe, our demand gen manager, he chimed in. Said, each tab will have its own unique URL still, right? I said, yeah, sure, but there'll be like hashtags and, you know, we'll figure it out. They'll be unique. And he said, I guess if that's how you have to do it. Wasn't too happy about it. And so right there I was starting to feel a little bit nervous. And then he continued. Also, can I have unique metadata and descriptions, keywords for each tab? Will the title tags still be able to be different in the HTML? This is time they've spent lots of time word crafting all of these things to make sure that every page is SEO optimized. So we're moving from a tour that had all this optimized to now potentially one that is just using divs hiding content. And kept going. What about SEO? Will the spiders be able to see this content? And I was like, I'll be right back. So in this little IM conversation, I was given our requirements for this new product tour. We needed a great user experience. We needed easy to read and real URLs. We needed it to be search engine friendly. We needed the content to be discoverable. We needed unique page titles for each tab. We needed to keep the description and keywords available in the HTML source, and we didn't want to break the back button. We wanted to still be used. So I started doing some research. I started IMing some of my more hipster developer friends, and they came back to me and said, dude, you are using the History API, right? And I said, yeah, of course. Of course I am. So what is it? So when we talk about the History API, really, this is an old thing. It's been around since probably IE 3 or something. And basically all it is a way to interact with the browser's history on the most basic level. So normally in the past, it was always used to travel within the history. So you could go back, you could go forward using JavaScript. Most of you are probably familiar with that. But what HTML5 gives us is a couple of new really neat methods, especially push state and replace state. And what these allow us to do is actually add things to the history and manipulate data inside those history items, which is something we never really had the ability to do before. So I'm going to go over this really quickly. This is the piece of magic code that this talk is really focused around. And what's interesting about this is that it's cool. I didn't mean to say that. So I want to go through the different parameters that you're able to play with here. So the first one is data. And in data, you can put any kind of JSON formatted text and attach it to a history item. There is a limit to how much you put here. It's usually just for a small amount of data. You don't want to push a ton of stuff in here. That's not what this is for. This is for title tags. I use it for knowing which tab that history item belongs to. You can use this for any type of data you'd like. Then we have this one called title. Title is actually not, it's part of the method, but it's not currently implemented in any browser yet. It's for future development. It's pretty obvious what it's for, the title of the page, but right now this actually doesn't do anything, at least not in Firefox, or maybe it's Chrome. Either way, I ignore this now, or sometimes I just put it in because in the future it will work. The URL is the neatest one. This is what's really cool about this. you're able to modify your window.location or your URL without a page refresh. And you can put whatever you want here. And since you can put whatever you want here, I actually call this fake URLs. Because you can put any text there you want. It doesn't mean there's actually a resolvable page there, which can get you in trouble. So here's the other one called replace state. This is exactly the same thing as push state, except that what this does is instead of adding to the history, this actually replaces whatever item was in the history at that time. We also are given an event, and this is an important event to use when you're working with this. Pop state. So pop state will fire off when you hit the back button. Basically, there's more technical ways to explain it, but really that's what it does. When you hit the back button, if the state is changed, pop state will fire. And that's what we use usually to retrieve data from our data tag. Okay, now here's where I'm going to go off and show this example that hopefully illustrates how this works. Okay, yeah, this is going to be cool. All right. So this is a very simple Ajaxy type application that I developed where when you click a link, text comes up. This is just a Jquery. I'm pulling the text from the title tag of the link. You can browse through these, but you can see that the URL doesn't change. There's no back button. Back button doesn't work. If anyone here has ever developed any kind of Ajax application, I'm sure you've run into this problem. Who here knows who Tim Berners-Lee is? Okay, Al Gore took credit, but he's actually deserves credit a little bit more for inventing the World Wide Web as we know it. But the other people on this list are probably more important. I'm not sure. So anyways, what we want to do is we want to add the history API to this so you can see how it works. Okay, so this is the script we're dealing with right now. And we're going to add this push state. Okay? So what I'm doing with this is I'm putting in the text link heading into a data object link heading. So I'm taking the title from my link. I'm taking these titles and I'm putting that text into my state. For the actual title ones, I'm just ignoring that for now. And then for my URL, I'm actually taking the href of my link to be my URL. So now that I've added that, let me save this. And we'll see what it does. Well, I just did something weird. Okay. So now when I change, look at the URL. The URLs are changing just because of that one line of code. So now I actually have real URLs for all of these. Not only that, but I've pushed these into the history. And if I go back, the URLs are changing when I go back. It's cool, right? But well, look, this isn't changing, so that's not very cool. So that's why I need my pop state event, which I've put in here. So here what I'm doing is I'm getting that data that I pushed into that state, and I'm able to retrieve it right here. And then just putting it back in the HTML using simple Jquery so you can see how this works. So I'm actually going to go to a new tab so I have a fresh history. So now if I browse through these, I should be able to see them in my history, go back and see the text has changed. So now I've got what looks like a regular website, but there's no page refreshes. Is that pretty cool? I'm not looking for applause, but no. Okay, it gets cooler than that. But here's what's not cool about it. If I hit, because that's not a real page, right? It's totally fake. There's no page behind that, right? That's why they're fake URLs. So if I copy and paste this, look, it's worthless, right? So let's go and we'll learn about how to fix that. It's pretty obvious, really, but. Okay, so when I started building, now I wanted to go through my requirements, right? So here was the first level of building this page was old school style, which, just static tabs. And that, we all know what that looks like. So here's this page that I built out. Built it out first time. Every time it refreshes, goes back to the top of the page. Refresh, goes back, right? Not that cool. So how did this guy do? So here's his report card for the static site. Great user experience, fail. But easy to read in real URLs? Yep. Search engine? Yep. Unique? Yep. It's really good for all those things. But user experience is bad. So what we do? We put some Jquery up in there, right? So basically same type of deal. So now all I've done is this is kind of the next obvious step, right? Now it's great user experience, but URLs aren't changing, and there's no way to go back. Right, clean history here. If I go like this, you'd expect to be able to go back, and you can't. And if I wanted to send somebody just to the project tracking page, not going to work. Another downfall of this technique is that all of this content's hidden behind hidden divs. So all that work that Joe did with fixing his titles and so forth, worthless. So for regular Jquery tabs, we have a great user experience. We don't have good URLs. We don't have any of these things. So now we need to add the history API. I'm going to illustrate that again with this code. It's very, very similar to what I did before. Only this time I'm going to use replace state so that when the page loads the first time, it pushes the initial state there so that I know that I have my original URL where I landed. And then I also am going to need my pop state so that I know which tab I'm on. In this one, I'm adding the position of the tab so that I know, is it tab 1, tab 2, tab 3? Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Uh-oh. Looks like I have some CSS problems. That sucks. Yeah, the resolution's very strange. Anyways, something happened there. I think my internet connection went down. Anyways, that's okay. Yeah, that is okay. I'm going to move on because I have another example to show. But when we add URLs to that, we get a great user experience. We get easy to read URLs, but we don't have real URLs still. We still don't have the titles. We still don't have all of the great search engine things. But we do have our back button, which still works. So then we need to put it all together. So now I'm gonna investigate my internet connection. All right, so here it is working in Magnolia, okay? So we've got our tour, we've got URLs, and the neat thing here is that if I hit refresh, I actually have a real URL. There is a real URL behind this, okay? Now let me show you the source code here. So each one of these tabs really does have a unique title, and it has its own description and its own keywords, okay? So no matter where I land, that I'm getting very fast switching of tabs. I've got unique URL, I've got history that works, forward and back button works, but it's all apparently on one page. And I have real URLs. So if we look at the report card for this, we have a great user experience, we have easy to read and real URLs, search engine discoverability, unique page titles for each tab, we have unique description and keywords available, and we didn't break the back button. So we have done a great job of fulfilling the requirements at this point. And it makes it really easy for Magnolia, makes it really easy for Joe to go in, page properties, he can do his SEO title here, he can put his descriptions and keywords in here, and he can be assured that these are all actually going to be spiderable on the web, even though I'm doing it in an Ajax application. And another nice thing about this in Magnolia is that I'm able to very easily add new tabs and new content. Let's say I wanted to add a new tab. I would probably copy this one. These are all the tabs here. And call this new tab. And there's my new tab. I can easily, another neat thing is, so I'm on my new tab, I hit preview, or edit, and then I can go ahead and edit my content for my new tab right here. I can edit my keywords. So, pretty cool. Did forget about IE. So it's very, it's very important for me to mention this, is that everything I just showed you pretty much doesn't work in IE. But there is a plugin for that. And this plugin is very cool. It's very important, and I highly suggest, if you want to get into this technology, to research history.js. This is what we use extensively. And what it basically does is it takes everything that I just illustrated and makes it work in IE. Not beautifully, but it does work. You won't get the same wonderful URLs. You will get a hashtag version of it. But they do resolve to the real URL. And I wanted to illustrate that, but IE wouldn't Windows wouldn't load on this thing. So decided to skip that. But you can trust me, you have a hashtagged URL, you can copy and paste it. So my main points for my talk, HTML5 History API is very valuable. It allows us to now create Ajax pages that have clean URLs and is able to be search engine optimized, and we make people happy. So who is happy? Jeff the designer is happy. Mr. SEO Joe is happy. And best of all, the users of Atlassian.com hopefully are happy. Thanks for listening.
So every page has all tabs on it, basically?
Every page has all the tabs on it, basically, yes. Every page, what actually happens is when we load this is I go with Ajax and I load all the content into every tab. Using Ajax, I go through that tree that was in Magnolia. So when one of the page loads, all the content from these tabs, just the content area from those tabs, gets pulled in to that one page. And then I'm navigating using History API. I'm not actually doing anything else anymore. I'm just doing a regular old Jquery tab project. And if you'd like, if anyone is interested in seeing how this is actually done in Magnolia in the JavaScript code that I'm actually using, come sit with me after and I'll show you. I think it'd be a bit much to go through that with everybody, but I want to show it to you. It's pretty cool. Does anyone else have any questions?
If all the content is all the tabs, then how do the search engines find a specific tab?
Right. Well, because the question was if all this data is getting pulled in with Ajax into these tabs, then how is it actually findable? Well, I can illustrate that actually by turning JavaScript off, if I wanted to. I'm not going to try and do that right now. But without JavaScript, all of these pages, all of these URLs are real URLs. So when I'm navigating between these, this is a static page. This URL resolves to a static page if I'm not using JavaScript. So as we're making the assumption that search engines don't crawl Ajax applications. They might, and I know that's something that Google is working on, but we're working off the assumption right now that web spiders are only crawling content that is HTML content. And since these are all real URLs, and since I was going to the resolution. Since we have this URL in the A tag, search spiders are going to see that tag and they're going to go to that URL and they're actually going to get a real web page. It's just really the front end user experience that's getting the History API and the smooth, fast switching. Thanks a lot for coming and thanks a lot for listening. I really appreciate your time.